You too, Mose Knows fam. Listen, I can come in here and I can say it's another crazy week in the NFL. I could say that, but y'all already know that. That's how this season has been. We just gonna jump right in. We're gonna talk about what happened in this crazy week 15. We're gonna take a look at how the playoff picture looks right now, and we're gonna forecast some things for the future. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Sorry, Mose couldn't be here, but he doing the Mrs. Mosley thing right now. You know, they're out doing. They're enjoying Valentine's Day. Is what I was trying to say.
I got you.
Y'all the worst.
You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. Mose knows. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. Mose knows. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. Mose knows. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. Mose knows. Mose know it all. Mose know it all. I guarantee real taste, ain't no faking that at all. If you don't know, you gon' know. Mose knows, tune into the show. Not a game, nitty gritty, ready go committee. Mose should be the CEO. Too solid, too real, too 100. I'ma keep it real when you don't. Just that real gold talk. 24 karat words. San Francisco 49er fam. Realest squad on the earth. The 5 God, number 5, taking us to 6. Young killer Trey Lance. New era, new season. Mose got you covered. Go ahead and subscribe. 2022 this year. Got a whole nother vibe. Mose know it all. Mose know it all. Mose know it all. Tune in for the vibe. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, you don't know nothing, but I know that. Mose knows.
Listen, I wish y'all could see how I be jamming to that. Listen, I'm not a conceited, big-headed person at all, but I love the intro. Shout out to the brother Lake City Fresh. Shout out to my cousin, producer Knights on the beat. They did an amazing job with that. Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Thank you for all of those who are tuning in now. Thank you for those who will be tuning into the show. I appreciate your time and attention as always. Listen, you're part of the Mose Knows fam. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, come on, be a part of the family. It's love over here. It's all love. We spread love over here at Mose Knows. Throw a like on the video, add a comment down below. I reply to comments and become a subscriber of the channel. If you want to get in touch with me on other social medias, Twitter and IG, What Mose Knows, all one word, all together. What Mose Knows on Twitter and IG. And you can find me if you just type in Mose Knows on TikTok. I put out weekly videos of my pick predictions every week. I'm going to add some playoff stuff coming soon. We're going to add some power rankings. Probably didn't do it this year, so maybe do power rankings at the end of the season, then at the beginning of next season, and then all throughout we'll do some power ranking stuff. Just trying to add more content for you guys as well. Let's take a look at the comments. Of course, right on time. At 7 o'clock on the dot and drop top cruising the streets. Well, she ain't cruising no streets unless she cruising the streets with me. Mrs. Mose Knows in the building. She says, "Hey, Pop, what's up, baby?" If she was the only one watching, I'm still doing this show. The support of that woman right there is absolutely phenomenal. We got Bishop Terradome in the building. Good evening, Bishop. Give glory and honor to God for your presence here. Glad to see you. Says, "What's up, Mose?" We got Chrissy, 1687. She says, "Hi, Mose." Chrissy, what's up? We have the beautiful, the talented, the absolutely amazing. She supports everything that I do. She supports everything that Nitty Gritty Niners does. Wayne Breezy, Crystal Peachy B, Fair to God, Nothing But Niners, Mike, Nick, Tony, NY to the Bay. She supports anything 49ers. She loves us. She genuinely loves us, and we genuinely love her too. Shout out to Miss Deb. Thank you so much. She says, "Blessings to you, Mose, and congratulations." Yes. If y'all didn't enter Miss Deb's raffle, that's y'all fault. I entered the raffle, and I won some more Gold Bar. Now, I'm trying to tell you, this Gold Bar whiskey tastes good. So she already sent me a bottle of the Catch, okay? So this is the Gold Bar with the Catch. We got the the silhouette of Dwight Clark. We got the play, the 49ers logo. So I'm getting another one of these, and I'm getting a mini gold bar. So I think now that I'm going to have 2 catches. I don't know if I want to open my 75th anniversary bottle because I didn't open this one yet. The seal is still on this one. So I may keep this seal on here. It may keep the seal on here. That other catch bottle, though, I may bust that open because this gold bar tastes really, really good. It's super smooth. I absolutely love it. Shout out to Sean. I hope I'm saying that right, Sean. It looks like Sean, but I'm thinking it's Sean Livingston. He says, "What's good, Mose? Thank you so much for tuning in, brother. Greatly appreciate you." We got Spider 1000 MTG says, "What's up, fam? What's going on, baby? How you doing? Glad so much you guys are here." So y'all know how we rock on the Tuesday shows. We're going to hit you with the quick ones. So these are games of the week. I'm sure there were some interesting storylines. We're going to touch on those storylines a bit. But these didn't enter my top 5. Now I'm looking for a new name. I called this segment Quick Hitters. I want to do something more football related. I could do 2-minute drill, but I think Chris Berman, Boom, has something like that. I could do no huddle, hurry up offense. Looking for suggestions from you guys. Any type of football related taglines that I could use for this segment, because these are just my one-liners from these early sets of games. Trying to get through this quickly so we can spend more time focusing on the top 5 games and some big storylines from those. And then also we have our playoff picture to look at. So let's jump right into it. Of course, we got to start right here. Of course, we got to start Santa Clara, California, Levi Stadium. I don't think we was at home. I think we was on the road for this one. But it doesn't matter. 49ers versus Seahawks, my takeaway from this game. What do we know from this game? The 49ers are the kings of the West. Point blank, period. We wrapped up the NFC West crown. We were division champs. We punched our ticket to the dance. That's all that matters. Ravens versus Browns, next game on the docket. Baltimore Ravens are inept without Lamar Jackson. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. I don't think that is new news to anyone. But they just did not look like a good football team minus Lamar Jackson. Offense wasn't able to do much. The Browns didn't do anything special. They won the game 13-3. They were able to keep the Ravens out of the end zone. Apparently, that's not that hard to do without Lamar Jackson. But this team looks lost without Lamar. So pay that man. Pay that man. Show him the money. Give him the contract that he deserves. I know you're worried about injury. I know you're worried about long-term injury with the style of quarterback that Lamar Jackson plays. But as you can see, without Lamar, this team's no good. Eagles versus the Bears, a tightly contested game. Bears had a chance to win this game. But what do we know? What is our takeaway from this game? Will injury to Jalen Hurts cost the Birds? If so, how much? This is an interesting question. They are currently 13-1. 13-1. 3 games left. Their very next game coming up this weekend, Saturday, Christmas Eve, the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about them later. So that's a game that, you know, they did win earlier in the season. Cowboys are going to blame it on the fact that they didn't have Dak Prescott. But if they don't have Jalen Hurts, can they win this game? And then how long, if Jalen Hurts does not play on Christmas Eve, how long will he be out with this shoulder strain? And how will this shoulder strain affect him going forward? There is a possibility. Now, all the Eagles have to do is win one game. They can win against the Cowboys. They can win against the Saints. I think they can win against the Saints without Jalen Hurts. They can win against the Saints, and they can win against the Giants. They win one of those games, they lock up the number 1 seed, home field throughout the playoffs. If they somehow lose to the Cowboys, Jalen Hurts doesn't play against the Saints, and the Saints want to play spoilers, and the Giants fighting for their playoff bubble lives find a way to get a dub week 18 against the Eagles, and the Eagles drop the last 3 because of this injury to Jalen Hurts, they could fall out of the number 1 spot. Minnesota has an opportunity to move up, and so do the 49ers, sitting at 10-4. The 49ers got to win out. That means we would be 13-4. The Eagles will be 13-4. And so would the Vikings. However, if the Eagles lose out, the 49ers would have a better conference record than both the Vikings and the Eagles. That would catapult the 49ers up to the number 1 spot. But even if it's not the Niners, it could be the Vikings too. So the Vikings and 49ers still have something to gain by the Eagles losing games. So how much will this injury cost the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm sure a lot of teams don't want to play the Eagles, especially in Philadelphia, especially on the East Coast in this cold weather. They don't want to do it. Lincoln Financial Field is an outdoor stadium. It's right on the water, right next to the airport. Like, they don't want to do that. It's cold in Philly right now. I go to the city 3 times a week. I got to go there tomorrow, unfortunately. It's cold in the city. They don't want to come here and play, even though this is December football. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I know I said these were supposed to be quick. Falcons versus Saints. Desmond Ridder is a long-term project. Saints aren't a good football team, although they do have a good defense. I felt like the Falcons should have stayed with Marcus Mariota, but they're at the end of the season. They're all but eliminated. They bring in a young rookie, get him some valuable snaps going into next season. However, I don't think we've seen – I know it's early. I know it's late in the season. I know the Falcons don't have that many weapons, but I don't think we've seen the spark from him as a rookie quarterback, as a first-year quarterback, that we've seen from some other guys. So I really feel like this is a long-term project, but I feel like if they are patient with Desmond Ridder and they continue to surround him with the right pieces, he has a chance to do some special things with the Falcons. But that's my takeaway. That's what I know from that game. Lions and Jets. The fight in the Lions is legitimate. 1,000% legitimate. I'll be the first one. I've said it multiple times on this show before. I definitely clowned and made fun of head coach Campbell, Dan Campbell, for his press conference where he talked about the fight that he's going to instill in his team, that culture. This fight is legitimate. The New York Jets were the Cinderella team of the season, one of the Cinderella teams of this season. Didn't expect much out of them. Robert Saleh has that defense playing lights out. The offense was figuring some things out. Kind of sputtered a little bit with the injury to Breece Hall. But this Jets team was looking really, really good. This Detroit Lions team is on the bubble. Seattle slip up. The Giants slip up. They got a chance to do some special things. The Lions, in their last 6 games, are 6-1. Only lost to the Buffalo Bills, and they only lost that game by 3 points. This Lions team is legitimate, and the culture that is being instilled in that building by Dan Campbell is palpable. It's tangible. It is felt throughout that locker room. They have the Panthers left. I mean, if they beat the if they beat the Jets, Vikings, Jags, Giants, Bears, and played the Bills tough, I think the Panthers could be maybe not an easy win, but more likely that could be a dub than not. They have the Bears. That could be another dub. Then they have the Packers, who they've already beat this season. Although it's at Green Bay, it's not going to be in the comfort of the Dome in Detroit. But the Lions could win out. The Lions could win out and end this season 10-7. That's a win. That's a win for Dan Campbell. That's a win for that organization. And it gives them a fighting chance of making the playoffs as a 7 seed. Much respect to the Detroit Lions. Steelers versus Panthers. What do I know from this game? Steve Wilks should be the Panthers' next head coach. No questions asked. Come in as the interim coach after you fire Matt Rule. This team looks different under his leadership. Steve Wilks is an old school head coach. He's about discipline. He's about toughness. He's about doing things the right way, preparing the right way. And this Panthers team looks different. Yes, they lost this game against the Steelers, but they were in the game. They didn't get blown out. They didn't lay down. past couple of games. They won a few of the games that they should have lost. They look different. Now they need pieces. They need to continue adding pieces on the offensive side of the ball. They need to find a replacement running back, although Deontay Foreman has been playing well. They need to add pieces on the offensive line. They need to give DJ more help in the receiving core and at the tight end position. The defense is young, solid. They can continue to get better. But Steve Wilks should be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. The NFL has already put an addendum out to teams saying, you guys have wasted $860 million worth of money to coaches who you've brought in and didn't vet properly, fired because they didn't produce right away, but now you're still paying them the 7-year contract that you gave them, and they only been there 2. I think Steve Wilks got a raw deal in Arizona, only 1 year as the coach there, and then they let him go for Cliff Kingsbury. How did that work out for you? Arizona? I'll wait. Yes, Steve Wilks deserves to be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. No questions asked. And don't give him a 6 or 7 year deal. We all know the standard in the NFL is you get 3 seasons to turn it around. After the 3 seasons, if we don't see measurable, tangible progress, then we'll move on to the next. Give him a 3-year contract. Give him a 3-year contract, and at the end of the 3 years, you'll assess his performance. And if he does what you think he should be doing, or he outperforms that, then you can extend him another 3, 4, 5 years, whatever you want to do. You don't have to give him a 7-year contract right off the bat. Give him a 3-year deal. Let him come in and prove himself as a head coach. But I think you can see right now his effect on this Carolina Panthers team. Once he brings in a competent offensive coordinator and he figures out what they want to do at the quarterback position, I think they'll be just fine under his leadership. Cards and Broncos. This is the battle for top 5 pick, bull. I wasn't paying attention when this game was on Red Zone, especially once Colt McCoy went down, and then the Broncos had Rippin. Why am I watching this? This is battle for top 5 pick. I think as of right now, these teams are like 4 and 5. And the Broncos pick don't even belong to them because that goes to the Seahawks. So nothing exciting to see here. Titans versus Chargers. This, to me, was the disappointment bowl. Shout out to the Chargers for winning it. A low-scoring game, 17-14. I think we finally saw the Chargers defense the way we imagined it. Now, for me, I think the Chargers have a bit of an excuse. This has been an injury-plagued season for them at some key positions. They lose Joey Bosa early to a groin injury, who still hasn't returned. That's why I was frightened when Nick Bosa had a similar injury this year, because Joey hasn't been back at all. They lose their big time free agent corner, J.C. Jackson, to a torn ACL. They've been out without some offensive linemen. Rashawn Slater's been down at times this year. Keenan Allen was gone for like most of the first half of the season. They lost Mike Williams for a couple of weeks. Justin Herbert had the rib injury that he was battling through. There's a lot going on this Chargers team. We have not been able to see them at full capacity. But because of that, that's still a disappointment. The Titans, every year I feel like the Titans give us a little bit of something, and then it's like, fooled you. Because, they're sitting in 4th in the playoff standings. We'll go over that again. But they're a mediocre 7-7. And at one point they were 7-3, and they've lost 4 straight. Bengals, Eagles, Jags, Chargers. I mean, thankfully they got the Texans on their docket next. But the way the Texans played the Cowboys and the Chiefs, this may not be an easy game. They have all the pieces, except for at the wide receiver position, because they got rid of A.J. Brown, which was stupid. Traylon Burks is not a viable replacement right now at this moment. But they have a running game. They have a defense. But this team is mediocre. You can point to the quarterback play, obviously. But definitely disappointment bowl. Bengals and Buccaneers. What do I know from this game? Cincinnati is getting hot in December again. Again. They got hot this time last year. They were kind of sputtering. They were at the 4-4 mark. They ripped off 6 straight. They kind of remind me of my 49ers. Panthers, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Bucks. 6 in a row. They sit at 10-4. They're leading that AFC North division. They have the Patriots next. They have the Bills week 17. And then they close it off with the Ravens. Best case scenario, I think they can go 2-1 in this final stretch. If they find a way to sweep these last 3 games and end 13-4, this is a team that I don't think anybody in the AFC wants to play. They're getting hot in December, just like they did last year, and they are a tough team to play. Giants versus Commanders. Referees robbed us of another thrilling game. That's my take. And I can't get sued by the NFL for talking about how horrible the refs were last week. The terrible call on Nick Bosa for pass interference. I mean, not pass interference, for roughing the passer, where there were offensive linemen and quarterbacks who said they got smacked by their kids harder than Nick Bosa sacked Geno Smith. Horrible call there. Missed pass interference in the Miami Dolphins game on Tyreek Hill. That wasn't called. What other game? We'll talk about Raiders and Patriots in a second. But this game. So let's first start with Terry McLaurin not being lined up. I saw the play live. He pointed to the ref. The ref told him to move up. He took a step up, pointed to the ref again. Terry McLaurin says the ref told him he was good. That's what T-Mac said. The ref told me I was good. Then they called the flag to reverse the touchdown. Then on the last play, the giant corner like bear hugged Curtis, and like, you want to talk about contact? Like, they freeze framed it, and like he gave my man like a bro, bring it in, bro hug. No call. Refs robbed us of another thrilling game. I feel like that game was getting ready to go into overtime, a division game in overtime. These two teams just went to overtime a couple of weeks ago, ended in a tie. We already had 3 overtime games in the week. This would have been the 4th. The refs robbed us of another thrilling Week 15 game, and they were terrible all week. All week they were terrible. I know they getting ready for the holidays, but they got to work on Christmas Eve, and 3 crews got to work Christmas. So like, it ain't like y'all got off. It's not like y'all got going on vacation. Y'all still got to work. Terrible. Last game of the quick ones. Rams versus Packers. I hate both of these teams. I legitimately hate both of these teams. In my main fantasy league, shout out to Nitty Gritty Niners Fantasy League, it was simple. It was win and in. Win and in. Went into Monday night. I was up 30 points. Feeling good. My opponent had Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I had Christian Watson. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they'll do good, but I'm like, there's no way. There's no possible way Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon can both go off. If one of them go off and the other don't, I'm cool. Why the Rams defense let Aaron Jones get 20 points and A.J. Dillon get 22 points? And why did the Packers not give more receptions and at least try to get Christian Watson a touchdown, like a legitimate touchdown? I don't know what that last play was where they was in bunch and like Aaron throws it to the dirt. I know Christian Watson didn't turn around, but he didn't even give an opportunity to. I lost the game by less than a point. Less than a point, yo. I'm going to talk about it now because I don't even want to talk about it on Thursday when I do Mose Knows Fantasy. So I'm going to just talk about it now because I'm hot. I'm hot. I lost by less than a point, y'all. The score was 116 point, basically a point. 116.10 to 115.16. And I was winning by like 30 plus points going into Monday night. I hate both of these teams. I'm no longer in the playoffs, or at least in the championship round, where if I win the semifinal, then I go to the championship and have a chance to get the belt. Thank you, Rams and Packers. Thank you. I scored the second most points in my league, but because of these two idiots, I'm not in the playoffs. Let's take a look at the comments while I've been talking, because I don't want to get too angry. Terra Dome says December, January, February football is 49er football. Absolutely. Shout out to 49er Jeff in the building. He says, Mose, what's goody? I'm chilling, bro. Glad to have you in the building. He says, I hate the Saints. He says, I have the Saints. Okay. Terradon, been on them Lions since Hard Knocks this summer. They got some heat over there. Yeah, they do. I mean, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Huge fan of Kirby Joseph. Huge fan of Aiden Hutchinson. Lions are sneaky tough. They are. They are. Exactly, Terradome. Biting off kneecaps. Biting off kneecaps. Shout out to the family. Terrence Allen in the building, our resident Chiefs expert. He says, who's the MVP in your opinion? That is a great question. That's a really, really good question. Off a gut instinct, I'm going to have to say it's Jalen Hurts. Now, I know why you're asking this question, because I know Terrence feel like it should be Patty Mahomes. He's leading the league in pass yards at 4,496. He's almost at 4,500. Most likely he's going to get to 5K. He's got 35 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. He's leading the league in touchdown passes. I get that. But I think MVP, most valuable player, is what do you mean to your team? And if we're just looking at passing stats, obviously Jalen Hurts is not eclipsing what Patrick Mahomes is doing. But if you look at his rushing numbers as well, Jalen Hurts is a dual threat that can do it through the air and on the ground. I think what we wanted to see from him this year is, could he do it more in the air than on the ground? And I think he's proven that. You get him a true number one in A.J. Brown. You got a true 1A or number two in Devontae Smith. They use their other pieces interchangeably. You got Quez Watkins. You got Dallas Goedert. You got the running backs. So absolutely, if I'm casting a vote, my vote goes to Jalen Hurts. He has his team at 13-1. Had it not been for that divisional loss, that tough loss, which some Eagles fans, and because you know the Eagles fans and the Eagles fans in our family that will say that game was rigged, the refs blew that one. Listen, I got to keep the same energy. I'm complaining about the refs this week, but as I say, calls get missed every day, B. That's just how the refs are. But the Eagles fans will say there were some questionable calls in that game versus the Commanders, but some of the real Eagles fans will also tell you they made too many mistakes that they haven't made all season. But outside of that, I would have to give it to Jalen Hurts just because of the way he's been playing. Terradome says, I think it'll be D'Amico for the next 5 years, then Deion Sanders if need be. Hmm. Now, what do you mean by that, Teradon? You mean D'Amico to the Panthers? I mean, yeah, to D'Amico to the Carolina Panthers. I feel like that would be a good fit for D'Amico. And I'm sure D'Amico is going to get a job somewhere. But I also think that Steve Wilkes deserves another opportunity. He got the shaft. He got the short end of the stick in Arizona, and that blew up in their face as it is right now. And this team is responding to him. He's already been in the building as a coordinator, so they have familiarity with him. I think he stays, continues to build that chemistry with those players, finds a good offensive coordinator, and moves forward. I think another good spot for D'Amico is Denver. If Denver lets go of Nathaniel Hackett, D'Amico going to Denver with that defense and bringing in an offensive coordinator that could be better suited for what Russell Wilson wants to do, that might be scary. That might be scary. I think D'Amico in Denver, that might be good one. A good one. Shout out to Jerome Davis. He says, "What up, Mose? Can we please feed Mason like a fat kid at a buffet, at least 10 carats?" Listen, I've been calling for that. I've been calling for that. I want to see Jordan Mason in the same package that we have for Elijah Mitchell, where we most of the first half, first and second quarter is predominantly CMC, and then you start that third quarter with your spellback. You start that third quarter with Jordan Mason the same way you started the third quarter with Elijah Mitchell. I thought that was working. Shout out to my cousin Sid, Chicago Sid B. We were talking about that, and I said, if you look at it, those 3 or 4 games before Mitchell got injured again, that's what the formula was. It was CMC first and second quarter. And then at the beginning of the third quarter, you saw Elijah Mitchell, and he got a bulk of those carries. That's what I personally want. I don't want to see us get to the fourth quarter or late in the third for us to see Jordan Mason. Let's start wearing some of these teams out earlier. Let's start getting them out of the game early. Let's start snatching their hearts and the will out of them early in the third quarter. It's already hard for them to keep up with us. They already mentally know that this is going to be a battle. This is not going to be an easy game. Then you bring a battering ram like Jordan Mason in at the beginning of the third. So they already coming out of halftime worrying about the adjustments that they talked about, worrying about making those adjustments and how they're going to figure all of that out. And now they got to come in and, okay, so all these adjustments that we were going to make, we got to scrap all these because now we got to tackle this bruiser. Listen, I agree with you. Feed him more often. Let's get through the top 5, and we will get you guys out of here and on your way. Let's start with 5, Chief Texans. Very, very good game. This game went into overtime. I think the Chiefs have a little bit of chink in the armor. I know Cousin Terrence is in the building, and he's not going to agree with me. But either way, whether it's a chink in their armor where they lose in a step, and it's hard to say that about the Chiefs. Maybe this is a little bit of hangover from the Bengals loss, or they're playing down to their opponent. When you start to play down to your opponent, you run into issues. And I think teams lately have been playing down to the Texans. And the Texans also have an old school coach in Lovie Smith where he ain't about all of that. If we putting up on the pads and we getting out there on that field, show up and play, or you'll sit on the bench with everybody else who don't want to play. So I was expecting the Chiefs to roll. Cowboys struggling with the Texans. It's the Cowboys. But the Chiefs, I didn't expect them to struggle. I mean, they went into halftime. This game, the entire game, at the end of the first quarter, they were down. At the end of the second quarter, going into halftime, they were down by 1. And at the end of the third quarter, they were down 21-16. Only in the fourth did they get a touchdown, go for 2, tie it up. and then they went into overtime. So the Chiefs are still a high-powered team. I mean, Pat Mahomes was 36 of 41. So what's the problem? He only missed 5 passes, 36 of 41, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know they had a couple of fumbles. I think Pacheco fumbled. I think Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled. So turnovers are going to cost you. We know that in the NFL. Travis Kelce, 10 for 105. The firepower is still there, but it's something that's a little different about this Chiefs team. And I'm wondering if that third loss to the Bengals and more footage and tape on this team, if teams are finally starting to pick up how to play them. Unfortunately for the Texans, they don't have enough firepower on offense to kind of stay and compete with this team, although they put up 24 points. But as I can tell you, being a 49er fan playing this Chiefs team, some 24 points ain't enough. It should be, but it's not enough. Moving over to number 4, Dolphins and Bills. What a great game on a Saturday evening. Back and forth battle up in the cold Buffalo. Fans throwing snowballs onto the field was probably the greatest thing of that entire game. Absolute back and forth battle. Bills were able to pull it out in the fourth quarter, putting up 11 points, only holding the Dolphins to 3. At first, it looked like this game was going to be out of hand. Then the Dolphins come out, 13 unanswered points in the third quarter. Tua played well. Mostert put up 135 on the ground, 136, excuse me. Waddle and Tyreek Hill both went off. This is a good battle. This was a good battle. I would not be upset if we saw this a third time in the playoffs. I think it would be a really, really good game. This loss did affect the Dolphins seeding. We'll touch on that in a second. The Bills needed this to stay number 1. I definitely think they want that number 1 seed. Moving to the Cowboys and Jags, I feel like a lot of us feel like Stephen A. right now as it pertains to the Cowboys. Stephen A. had fun with this one. Stephen A. had fun with this one. And so did I. Living on the East Coast, right outside of Philly, a predominantly Eagles and Giants area, we have a few Cowboys fans. And they talked a lot of trash. They talked a lot of trash when the Eagles lost to the Commanders. They talked a lot of trash when the Eagles struggled with another team. I know they was going to talk a lot of trash that the Chiefs struggled with the Texans. And the Cowboys were able to beat the Texans in regulation, whereas the Chiefs had to go into overtime. But for the Cowboys to beat, I think at one point, weren't they up like 21-7? 21-10? No. Halftime, they were up 21-7. And then in the second half, they get outscored 27-13. And then Dak throws a pick in overtime, pick 6 to Rayshon Jenkins to lose the game for the Cowboys. Glorious day. Glorious day. Anytime the Cowboys lose and they fans can be quiet. And I'm sure I have some Cowboys fans who watch this channel listen. Don't unfollow me. I still love y'all. I still love y'all. It is what it is. It's fun to poke fun at Cowboys fans because y'all be talking the most when y'all win, but then when y'all lose, y'all going to hide and y'all like Homer Simpson ducking back into the bush. I didn't do that to y'all. Y'all did that to y'all. That's not me. Patriots Raiders. We can talk about the late touchdown. Was Keelan Cole out of bounds? Yes or no? Listen, that's the benefit of having white lines, white end lines, and a black end zone and wearing white and black cleats. You can't tell the difference. You cannot tell the difference. So as much as they wanted to try to say he was out, most of his foot was in, and where the white and black met and where his cleats was, it wasn't conclusive enough to overturn. So that's why they were even in the game. But we got to talk. Everybody's been talking. We got to talk about the play. What was Jacoby Myers thinking? And he stood up and he said, "I was just trying to make a play." You didn't need to do that. And I doubt that was the directive that came from Bill Belichick or the offensive coordinator, is to get as many yards as you can, and before you go down, see if you can pass it back and see if we can make something crazy happen at the end of this game. Absolutely not. And then you only throw across the field like that if that's how the play is designed. If the play is designed in such a way where you know that that's going to be a across the field pass, but everybody is coming towards you because that's how it's designed. Y'all done flea flickered it so many times and backwards passes so many times that the defense has had time to migrate over to you, and then you hit that guy that leaks over there. He tried to throw it back to Mac Jones like that was the play. It gets picked off by Chandler Jones. I guess they call it a fumble recovery. And then Mac Jones gets his soul demolished by a stiff arm. And the rest is history. Never seen a play like that before. I've seen, backward passes, unfortunately not go the way that, the offensive team wants it to, but never like that. Never in walk-off fashion like that. That was crazy and potentially hurts the Patriots' playoff chances. And then last but not least, how do you give up a 33-point lead? How, Sway? 33-point lead? You put up all them points in the first half, and you couldn't put up more than 3 points in the second half? Like, it was 33-0. It's not like the Vikings had points in the first half and they had tape that says, okay, we did some things good, we did some things bad, but let's focus on the good and how we can build on that. The Vikings did absolutely nothing good that entire first half. Nothing. They had nothing to build off of. And I love all the memes. Matt Ryan is a part of 2 of the biggest comebacks in NFL history. And this was the biggest one. Like, this goes down in the record books. So much so that Kirk Cousins needed a minute during the postgame press. Like, he had to soak all of that in. I don't want to belabor it, but that was absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Let's take a look at the playoff picture, and then we will get y'all out of here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, your time and attention. This is the updated one. Yes. Let me share my screen. Okay. Get this up. Boom. Some changes here. So after week 14, we had Bills at 1, Chiefs at 2, Ravens were at 3, Titans at 4. Because of the Ravens loss and the Bengals win, Ravens are now 9-5, Bengals are 10-4. They jump up to the 3 spot, moving the Ravens all the way down to 5. Because of the Chargers win, that takes them all the way out of the bubble and jumps them up to 6. The Dolphins move down to 7, and the Jets, who were at 7, are now a bubble team, and they are even a bubble behind the Patriots. So Patriots have the first bubble spot. Jets are number 2. But here's how we are after week 15. Bills still at 1, Chiefs at 2. They're going to be fighting. Bills are going to have to win out, and so are the Chiefs. Whoever loses one game, it's going to affect the other team. So they're still fighting for that number 1 overall spot. The Bengals, they do have the Ravens in week 18. So it is possible that they could lose this spot. It could go back to the Ravens for number 3. But I think the Bengals might be fairly secure at the number 3 spot. Titans. Now take a look at this. Titans are 7-7. The Jags are 6-8. The Titans right now are secure at 4. But they could not win their division. The Jags could find a way to win their division, and the Jags would be number 4 and have a home playoff game. Think about that. That win versus the Cowboys did everything for them. Because now that puts them only 1 game behind the Titans. And I would have to look at the schedule to see if they play the Titans again. Jags have a possibility of winning this division and taking that number 4 spot. Dolphins losing, dropping them down to 7. I think they're pretty secure. I don't think they have to worry about the Patriots too much. But they always have to beware to lose that spot. And the Chargers are sitting comfortable at 6. That is on the AFC side. Moving over to the NFC side, not much change here. The only change is that 6 and 7 seed. So the Seahawks were at 7. The Commanders now take over at 7. And then we have Giants at 6, Cowboys at 5, Buccaneers at 4, Niners at 3, Vikings at 2, and the Eagles at 1. Again, Jalen Hurts injury, something to watch out for. I do not believe the Eagles will lose 3 straight. But if they do, and the Vikings went out and the Niners went out, there's a possibility the Eagles could drop all the way down to the number 3 seed. So his injury is very significant in what happens. Now, again, if they don't beat the Cowboys, I do think even with Gardner Minshew, they can beat the Saints just off of firepower alone. But any given Sunday, anything can happen. The Lions are legit. If the Seahawks, Commanders, Giants slip up, the Lions have a legit opportunity to make the playoffs. So watch them as a bubble team. And that is going to do it. Let me get back to this screen. Let me get this out of here. That's going to do it for my show. I love and appreciate everybody, all y'all for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for all your comments. We got Jerome Davies. I'm waiting to see that Dirty Purdy throwing game. It might be against the Commanders. 350 yards, at least 2 TDs. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Now, I don't know if we're going to get that, because I feel like the more Purdy opens up the passing offense, I think the more we get back to a traditional Kyle offense where we're running the ball more. And especially if, like we talked about, we see Mason getting more carries and he's bulldozing people. And if Christian McCaffrey within his 15 to 20 carries can get 80, 90, 100 yards, I think we might get back to more of a running offense, which every defense in the league hates to see a Kyle Shanahan rushing offense. But I agree with you. I want to see if my quarterback, if he needs to, if he can throw for 350 yards. Again, I think we give a lot of credit to Jimmy Garoppolo. The year 2019 against the Saints, in the Superdome, going back and forth with Drew Brees. We wanted to see if he was able to do that. We saw it in that game. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to bring that same level of back and forth with Patrick Mahomes. So I understand what you're saying. I do want to see Brock Purdy light it up through the air. So your prediction is 350 yards and at least 2 touchdowns versus the Commanders. Listen, if Purdy do that, there's going to be a lot of tension amongst the 49er faithful when it comes to our quarterback position. But that's my time. That's my show. I got to get my young boy to basketball practice. I love and appreciate all of y'all. Again, if you are not a subscriber to Mose Knows, hit that subscribe button. Become a part of the Mose Knows fam. Once you're part of the family, I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Love and appreciate y'all. I'll see you all on Thursday. Peace.